Hello, and welcome to the Oak Ridge Unitarian Universalist Church. That's a mouthful. Anyway, welcome to those of you who are here for the first time or back for the first time in a long time. We'd like to invite you to do two things. First of all, if you're on Facebook, join the ORUUC Facebook group. Secondly, stick around after the service for inquirers. That's a group of people that are also new to the church and learning about Unitarian Universalism, and you can just stay right here in this Zoom room and talk with them and talk with Jeannie Clovice. Next of all, as many people know, for years and years during the offering, we have sent half of the offering out into the community to do good in our name. Today and this month, for the Split the Plate recipient, it's the Fresh Fruit for At-Risk Kids Ministry. This means that kids who don't have enough food over the weekend get a piece of fresh fruit put into their backpacks to eat on a Saturday or Sunday. Not only does it let them know about their nourishment and good dietary practice, but it also lets them know that somebody out here loves them. Thank you for being generous with the offering today. Those are the announcements.
All creation began with the urge and intention for life to exist in the void. All of our actions are born out of desire, out of a dream for the future. This is our birthright, to imagine and create. What brings you alive? What moves your soul truly in the deepest way? What you create out of that answer is your greatest gift to the world and the way in which you are a part of the ongoing, creative unfolding of life.
In the world of the driven, let us be drawn in.
Let your love be our given.
Let us be drawn in.
To imagine, to dream,
to create, to redeem.
For the sake of the living, let us be drawn in. If we come to this flame's light and forget that our minds burn with the self-same fire of all things possible, we will be reduced to ashes. If we dive into the depths of our inner dreaming oceans to leave the sun of sense behind, forgetting that we need one another, we will drown. But if we find ourselves here on another Sunday morning, open to the possible, the mingling between you and I and us, let the waters of our oceans meet in rivers and tributaries, forming new seas. Let the same fire that we reach for illuminate the world with 1,000 colors. And maybe I do not notice all that is shown to you, and maybe you do not notice all that is shown to me, but let us trust that we have something to paint with, to make with, to dream with, to work with, to live with, to love with, to let our imaginations wander and our search for truth and meaning, every step a prayer, every stumble a poem, every sight a song created in the image of something not yet born. Come, let us worship together.
One of my joys each week is going through our archives of music to find these hymns for you. And so today I'd like to feature our ukulele group. Will you join us in singing Shall We Gather at the River?
Shall we gather at the river, where my angels feet have trod, with its crystal tide forever, flowing by the throne of God? Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God. On the margin of the river, washing up its silver spray, we will walk and worship ever all the happy golden way. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God. There we reach the shining river, lay we every burden down. Grace our spirits will deliver and provide our robe and crown. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God. Soon we'll reach the shining river, soon our pilgrimage will cease, soon our happy hearts will quiver with the melody of peace. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God, that flows by the throne of God.
This is the time in our service when I invite each of you to take stock. What is alive in you this day? And I especially invite you on this day to invite into your awareness, to open yourself to your imagination and that in you which is creative. We are all created, and we are all creative beings. What gifts do you receive from your imagination, from your creativity, whatever form it takes? There are 3 ways during this altar building time that you can bring yourself to this service. You can light a candle and hold it up to your camera. It'll spotlight you for a moment, and people will be able to see you letting your light shine. Also, you can share a word in the chat, a prayer, a hope, a concern, a source of creativity, or what you imagine this day. And if you have something that you would like to have spoken in the prayer that will follow this taking stock altar building time, you may email that prayer to oruuc.community.prayers@gmail.com. Together, let us come fully into this time, this space, with our altar building.
I went down to the river to pray, studying about that good old way. And who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, brothers, let's go down, come on down. Come on, brothers, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, fathers, let's go down, come on down. Oh, fathers, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, mothers, let's go down, come on down, don't you want to go down? Oh, mothers, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, neighbors, let's go down, come on down. Oh, neighbors, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way.
Will you join me in a moment of prayer and prayerful contemplation? Spirit of life and love and all things that grow and flow and come into being in this world and in all worlds, we gather here this morning in a moment of worship and reflection and prayer. And there is one among us who prays for all affected by the fires in the West, that they would be protected from harm and find place of shelter. And for all those struggling with addiction, that they would find the resources and patience to realize recovery one day at a time. Amen. Amen. May we all have people who are patient with us, especially those of us who struggle with a burden that often goes unrecognized or maligned. May there be an openness. May we tap into those creative resources that allow us to bring healing into this world. And may there be sanctuary to the people of the West Coast who live under risk and threat, whose whole worlds have been turned upside down. May there be rain or water or relief or something from the human spirit that can help to solve these wicked, wicked problems of the world. God, Spirit of life. We are a tired people. We are a hungry people. We are people ready to love and ready to love this world into new ways of being. Let us be inspired. Amen. And blessed be.
Now, as you enjoy the beautiful offertory, I hope you will keep in mind the children who receive fresh fruit on Fridays from the Fresh Fruit for At-Risk Kids Ministry, and be as generous as you can be. Thank you in advance.
People get ready, there's a train a-comin'. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. Don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. People get ready for the train to Jordan, picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is key, open the doors and board them. There's room for all, the one loves love the most. There ain't no room for the hopeless sinner who would hurt all mankind just to save his own. Have pity on those whose chances are thinner, 'cause there's no hiding place from the kingdom's throne. So people get ready, there's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. Don't need no ticket, just thank the Lord. I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready. This time I'm ready. This time I'm ready. I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready. This time I'm ready. This time I'm ready.
As the gifts you have so generously shared today bless the children of Oak Ridge with enough food to eat, may it also remind you of the power within you to make your whole life into a blessing with everybody you meet, all of this week and all of the days yet to come. Thank you.
Rooted in love, we covenant, together in peace, to face conflict with compassion, to see strength in diversity, to share laughter and tears, to honor the profound in each of us. With purpose and passion, we care for one another and grow together, rooted in love.
Now I think you can hear me. Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to do the Story for All Ages live because I wanted to show you something. So this is a month where we're talking about imagination and we're exploring the creative spirit. And I thought that I would share something about the creative process that I've learned in time. It keeps muting me. Can you all hear me now? Okay, maybe you can, maybe you can't. I think you can. Anyway, this is, that little fumble was right in line with the theme of today, because this month we're talking about imagination and the creative process. And so I've been working on learning how to make large bubbles, and I wanted to show you something about that. So here's, let me put it down a little bit. I don't know if you can see this. We've got a bucket of water and soap bubbles and large, whoa, there you go.
Okay, it's down. Okay.
And one more. And you can try this at home. All you need is just some dish soap and water, warm water, and it helps if the day's a little less windy than today. But what I wanted to share with you is part of the creative process is you can have the same person you can have the same ingredients, the same spot, and you'll show up and different things will happen. A different bubble if you're making bubbles, a different drawing. If you're singing a song, a different song will come out. If you're in a relationship, trying a conversation or asking a question, a different answer or a different response will come up. This is part of the creative process. So I encourage you this month and every week yet to come to continue showing up, risking, bringing your efforts at being creative and trying something new and seeing what happens, trusting not that you will create the same thing every time, but that each time, just like a bubble or a song or a piece of writing or a conversation, each time something new and beautiful will be born and emerge. That's the story for today.
For those of you that are new to us or who just need a reminder, because it's been a while since we've been in there. Following the Story for All Ages, when we were in the building, we used to use the center aisle and form an arch and give a blessing to our children as they walked into children's time. Now, obviously, right now, we are not in this building, but we still like to keep this wonderful tradition alive by forming an arch and singing the arch song, whose words were written by our very own Nancy Starr. So we are not welcoming them out of this building, but we are welcoming them into our hearts. So go ahead and build that arch and sing this beautiful song.
Beneath our arms we shelter you. You warm our hearts as you pass through. May God guide you as you go to help you learn and help you grow.
Good morning. I'm Clovice Lewis. Some of you may know that I've been a professional composer and cellist for most of my life. From a very early time in my life, people would ask me what it's like to compose music, and I always replied that I enter into a state of grace while I'm composing. And even for some time after the work is done, I do other creative work. In fact, I tell people I only do one thing, and that's to create, but I just do it in a lot of different ways. So there have been times during and after performing on the cello when I feel a great sense of grace. And when I design or build something, again, I experience that state of grace. But for me, it's in the act of composing music that I feel the strongest pull. When I'm deep in composing, I feel like I'm allowed to live in a cathedral where God and I hang out. God dances around me and she laughingly flings music at me. And my job is to catch anything that floats by. I'm simply a clean vessel to be used. I'm emptied of ego, free of thought, and unburdened by convention when I'm there. And after the work is done, there's an afterglow for a time. So here's the secret about me. I don't do creative work because I want to experience the awesome power of co-creation. No, it's none of that. It's because there is nothing more sweet or amazing or perfectly intimate to me in life than to be loved and touched by God or presence or source or whatever you want to call it in this particular way. So one might ask, is there a practical way to be in this creative state of grace you're talking about? Yes, I strongly believe there is. So I offer these 4 principles. First, don't do anything you don't want to that doesn't put food on your plate. You'll be surprised if you insist on that. So make your work your play and your play your work. And if you can't say that, then you're probably not living your life to its maximum potential. Second, trust in the flow of life. Sometimes that means you have to wait until the flow is right. You don't always have to row to the shore. A lot of times you can just surf there, and it's just as fast, if not faster. Third, don't worry about anything. It's just a bad habit, and it crowds creativity out of your life. Fourth, try to be in right relations with others. And that means you find the people, places, organizations that resonate with your internal truth. And that way, you're free to offer your creative gifts without the drag of internal or external conflict. So I'd synthesize my somewhat counterintuitive philosophy this way. Indulge many passions. You will find discipline as you go along, and it will guide you through any project because you'll approach all of them with a well-developed process cultivated from creativity. Don't worry about outcomes. The process and how it makes you feel are most important. Cultivate creativity and trust it completely. And that's ultimately what makes us happy. The other thing about it is that you can't create from something that's not true. So don't do things that block your creativity. And the last thing I'd say is that sharing completes the creative process. You must share the products of your work. They can even be bubbles. Don't be afraid of criticism, and don't self-edit to the point of artistic constipation. That's it. That's how I experience creativity, and I know I'm the new guy here, but after this service, I would love to talk with anyone who wants to share how creativity works in their lives. Namaste.
So here's how creativity works in my life. Are you hearing me? It says unmute. Let's see here. Okay. All of my life, I have been a dancer. As far back as I can recall, I had this need to move to music. I'm that person that you do not want to share a hymn book with. Oh no, because you'll be seasick trying to follow the words on the page as I bounce and move around. I just can't help myself. When I say need to move to music, I do mean need. I just would not be who I am without dance. I dance into all of my feelings, every single one of them. Hope, despair, regret, inspiration, tenderness. In dance, here's what happens. My outer self, this body, this magnificent body that is aging, and my inner self, my ageless, miraculous spirit, they come together, outer and inner harmonizing, moving together in time, connecting and creating. I dance every single day. These days I go for a morning walk, but I walk to the beat of the music coming through my earpods. Now, I tone things down when a car drives by, or I see someone up ahead on the trail, or I hear someone behind me. I don't want to embarrass them, because what would they say about this person dancing along? But I am dancing anyway. There's a little waltz step going on inside, and a little swaying left and a little subtle swaying right. I am skipping, I am bouncing, I am going with the beat. And I'm apt to get in a little dancing while preparing dinner or emptying the dishwasher or folding laundry. Well, actually, I get in dancing pretty much most any time, because here's the thing. I don't so much do a dance as a dance just comes on out of me. I'm the vessel, I'm the channel. I am going with the flow. So I see this dance that comes through me, this need to dance, as just who I am, as a true gift. And I believe we're all given true gifts. Our job is just to get in touch with them and let them happen. And I was thinking about the sharing part, Clovice, when you talk. I think the way I share my dance is that it makes me who I am, and that I am a more loving and creative person because I dance. So this gift that I have of dance is something for which I am truly, truly grateful. There is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all of time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, the world will not have it. It is not your business to determine how good it is, nor how valuable, nor how it compares with other expressions. It is your business to keep it yours clearly and directly, to keep the channel open. Whether you choose to take an art class or keep a journal, record your dreams, dance your story, or live each day from your own creative source, above all else, keep the channel open.
In 1992, our congregation welcomed a new minister, Priscilla Rehder. With her arrival also came a new tradition that more and more was spreading throughout Unitarian Universalism. At the beginning of the regular church year, members would bring a small amount of water from somewhere meaningful to them, pour it into a common bowl, symbolizing how the depth and power of our community comes from joining together the separate streams of our lives. Later on, some of the water is poured into the memorial garden to honor those we love who are gone, to show our ongoing connection to them, and to promise to continue to nourish and tend all they held dear in their lives. Some of the water is saved and used later in the year for the children's dedications, when we bless the youngest of us and welcome them into our community. And starting in 1992, church members Rita and Bill Anderson began to collect some of the water each year to save it for the water communion for the following year. They came to call this heritage water, and every year a little of it is poured into the water that's brought forth for that year. That means that mingled in with the water from different places and different lives here in 2020, our water communion also includes water from 1992, 93, 94, and so on. In that way, people who are gone from us now, like Violet Ellison, Rosemary Burns, and Rita herself, not to mention so many others, are symbolically included and affirmed. This year, we gather the waters together in a different way, not in person, but together and on video. But the power of joining our intentions and commitments together and our lives together for the coming church year, no matter what, still remains.
We draw from many wells, from oceans and rivers, from lakes and streams, from the muddy Mississippi to the roaring Rio Grande, from faraway places and from ponds and puddles right in our backyards, yet all are refreshing. Each rivulet is cleansing, each capable of nurturing and sustaining life.
As people of faith, we draw inspiration from many sources, from earth and sky, from poetry and legend, from art and music, from conscience and the law written in our own hearts, each satisfying our deep thirst for meaning and the yearning for justice that rolls down like waters in the soul.
Today, in our water communion ceremony, we join together water offered from different spheres and different lives, each containing different precious stories and intentions. Let the ORUUC community receive the blessing of each of them.
We bring water of awakening, wisdom, and insight that draws from the spirit of the East, place of the sun's rising, unafraid to imagine the world that yet could be.
We bring waters of healing, nature, and compassion that draws from the spirit of the West, place of the sun setting, with the courage to engage the pathways of transformation.
We bring water of strength and security, drawing from the spirit of the north, place of the night, to embrace the suffering in our lives and in the world.
We bring water of passion and zeal, drawing from the spirit of the South, place of sun's greatest height, falling in love with wonder and beauty of this world and all who live in it.
Last of all, we pour this heritage water in memory of and with love for all of those in this community who have come before, drawing on the richness of their wisdom and example, and understanding ourselves as in community with them, even today.
As the waters of the world eagerly rush down mountains and creek beds, out into rivers and then out to the sea, so too are we eager to rush to join our lives together with delight, to share with one another, to learn from one another, to draw strength and succor from one another. May this act of pooling water that we bring forth inspire us in new and deeper ways to join our lives together in tenderness and in courage as our community plays its part this year and always in the wider waters of life itself. Blessed be. So there's a line that says, and you may have heard it, that it's better to give than to receive. Research in psychology in recent decades has borne that out. People who practice generosity seem to be more gratified than those who receive it. Every week at ORUUC, you are exhorted to give, to stretch yourself in service and in time and in financial donations. It would seem that learning to give is the central imperative of the life of faith. But I'm not sure that's the case. For me, and maybe for you, it's often a lot harder to receive than it is to give. I'll tell you a secret that some of you have already figured out through the years. I am terrible at taking a compliment, or at least it's a struggle for me. When somebody compliments me, I will bat it away or say I got lucky or point to somebody else who was part of the same thing. I have a hard time just standing there and taking it. I squirm. Sometimes I'll learn later on that somebody was trying to compliment me and I didn't even hear it. I just sort of blanked out. Can I receive criticism? Oh yeah, I'm fascinated by criticism. It's a chance to learn. Tell me more of what went wrong. Can I compliment others? Sure I can. I can praise and celebrate all day long if I want. What's hard is to be on the receiving end. Now, maybe you've got something like that in your life, and it might not be praise. It might be receiving help. Oh, some of you out there are feeling what it's like to receive help. Or it might be advice, or it might be money. Some people have trouble receiving money. Or it might be receiving challenging feedback or critical feedback. Something someone else tries to give you that you fumble and struggle to try to receive. To receive seems so easy when you're looking at it from a distance. But if we look at our lives, we may notice what a struggle it can be. Now, as somebody who struggles to receive when it comes to compliments, I've thought some about this. I think it's that sometimes I fear that receiving comes with strings attached. Like, if I accept some good thing I did, I'm going to have to live up to it next time, and maybe I can't or don't know how. Or maybe if receiving help is hard for you, you'll fear that you'll come to depend on that help or that person, strings attached. Receiving can awaken so many unconscious fears. If this is true between one and another in our relationships, it can also be true in our relationship with the divine. Different traditions have different ways of observing that for some reason, each of us is born with diverse gifts. Things about us that we didn't ask for and that we didn't work for. They're just things that we're good at or parts of ourselves that have power in them. Now, these gifts can be cultivated. We've heard in this service ways that people have cultivated the gifts they received, but it can also be at times a struggle to receive these divine gifts in our lives, to claim the power and the responsibility, I'd say, that comes with receiving them and integrating them. Maybe it's a misguided understanding of humility that makes us want to hide our light under a bushel, or maybe it's a fear of the consequences of living up to that great gift that we've been given. When we live in community, as we do in ORUUC, even here in pandemic times, we are challenged to let go of the pretense of making it on our own. We're challenged to let go of the idea that we don't need anyone else. We're challenged, in other words, to learn to receive, to learn to live not with independence, but interdependence. And that can be scary. It means being vulnerable and trusting and staying there, even when things don't work out. Or maybe we've learned to trust the gifts in our lives, the ones that show themselves in creativity, and sometimes it hasn't worked out so well. Remember those bubbles that I tried for in the story for all ages today? That's what it can be like to show up in trust. There's a bunch of popped bubbles and soapy water on the pavement, and not much to show for it. So sometimes it can seem safer not to receive that great gift, to hedge our bets. So today, as we join together with intention and love for the coming church year, as we join our lives and the roaring waters together of all of life, I invite you to practice the art of receiving, of feeling yourself held and buoyed up and carried forth by a power greater than your own life. So may it be.
People have a profound misconception about what we call creativity. And that misconception is that we have to do things to be creative. And that's simply not necessary. A person is also creative by their very being. I know people that I call artists of life because they are as true artists are. They live their lives with intuition, vulnerability, grace, compassion, and open hearts. My invitation to all of us is to be and live as artists, sharing the wonder of our collective creativity.
I'll try that one more time. My mic was off. As we begin our church year and officially come into ingathering and our water communion today, please join me in singing For the Earth Forever Turning.
As we turn from this hour, may we be fools for love and pilgrims for justice. And until we meet again, may we walk, move, and roll in beloved community. Go in peace.